We're going over the DoWhile loop today, which is one of three controlled structures in Java: DoWhile loop, the for loop, and the while loop. What you need to know about the DoWhile loop is kind of like an inverted while loop, and I'll show you the regular while loop right here. So what we have is the keyword while, and then we have the Boolean expression, and then inside the two brackets is what's going to be executed if that Boolean expression is true. So a DoWhile loop is kind of the same thing, except the while is at the end. So we have the keyword do, have the brackets, and then we have what's executed right here in between the brackets. And then after the brackets, we're going to say keyword while, and then there is the Boolean expression, which is evaluated true or false. What you need to know about the DoWhile loop that is different from the while is the DoWhile loop always executes once. So what we have is the while loop right here. We have x set to 1, and we're going to say if x is less than 0, which it isn't, we're going to print ln x, then we're going to increment x. So we're going to run that real quick, and as you can see here, this is after the regular while loop. So I can show you. So nothing is printed out because x is not less than 1. So now we're going to move on to the DoWhile loop. So since the DoWhile loop is always executed once, we are going to see 1, and then we're going to increment x. So what it's going to do is say do this, and then check for this true or false. So we're going to do the system.out.println x, and we're going to increment x, and then we're going to check if x is less than 0. If x is less than 0, then we're going to do this again. If it's not, we're going to move on. So we're going to run it, and I'll show you. So you can see here that it does print out 1 because it does do this once, no matter what. Just remember that. So it's going to print out 1, and then it's going to increment x, and it's going to say is x less than 0, and it's going to say it's false, so it's going to move on. Now if we make x -5, and we rerun it, what it's going to do, it is less than 0, so it's going to say do print out x, which is -5. It's going to increment x, and then this evaluation is going to be true, so it's going to increment x and be -4, and then it's going to be -3, and it's going to be -2, then -1. It's going to keep on going until this while is going to be false. So -1 is less than 0, so it's going to say print out -1, and then it's going to be 0, and then it's going to check x is less than 0, which it's not, it's equal to, and then it's going to move on. So what we use the DoWhile loop mostly for is basically when we want to repeat certain processes. And we're going to do an input validation loop, as I'm going to show you here below. And this is what we mostly use it for. So what we're going to do, as you can see below, is we're going to ask the user to input 3 grades, and then we're going to compute the average and show the average to the user. And then we're going to ask the user if they want to repeat that process or not. So how we do that is, as you can see here, we created 3 int grades: 1, grade 2, grade 3, created an average, and then created the choice that the user inputs. And here's the scanner object. So what we have is, remember that the DoWhile always executes once. So we take full advantage of that. We're going to ask the questions and take in the input inside the do. So we're going to ask what is the score of grade 1, get the next int, grade 2, get the next int, then we're going to get the grade 3 next int, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take in that input and compute the average. Then we're going to ask the user, would you like to calculate another average, yes or no? So we're going to take in the input at the next line, and we're just going to read in the first character of the word, which is going to be yes or no, which is going to be y or n. So you can see here down at the bottom, inside this while loop, inside this Boolean expression, we're going to say if choice equals lowercase y or choice equals uppercase y, we're going to redo this whole process, and we're going to jump to the very beginning. Now if it's something other than y, then it's just going to skip it and execute what is after the DoWhile loop. So we are going to run it, and I'll show you. So it's going to say, what is the score of grade 1? We're going to say 50. What is the score of grade 2? We're going to say 50. Score of grade 3, which is 50, so the average should be 50. So the average of all the grades is 50, which is correct. Now it's going to ask, would you like to calculate another average? Now we're going to type in yes. It's going to read in that first y. and it's going to re-ask us the questions again. So we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do a capital yes, as you can see here. It's going to do the same exact thing. And now we're going to type in no. And now it's not a Y, so it's going to recognize that as a false Boolean expression, and it's going to move on. That is what the DoWhile loop does, and let's go over the basic structure one more time. So what we have is the do keyword, and we have below it, which is brackets, and inside the brackets is what's going to be executed. At the very end, we're going to say keyword while, and this is where the test expression is, which is going to be true or false. If that expression is true, we're going to jump to the very beginning and go back to the do, and executes that block of code again. And then we're going to keep on doing that until this expression is false. But lastly, just remember that the DoWhile loop always executes at least once, because it doesn't check for that Boolean expression until the end of the DoWhile loop.